Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Raphael Varane, Jadon Sancho and Paul Pogba could be at Manchester United next season. Now you know the news on Raphael Varane. Real Madrid are prepared to sell Raphael Varane to Manchester United in the summer. Ed Woodward prepared to sanction a £100 million move for Raphael Varane in 2018. Varane is valued at £61 million. OK Dairo recently said that Real Madrid reduced their asking price for Raphael Varane to £43 million. The AS said that talks over extending Raphael Varane's deal have not settled, so Real Madrid are considering offers for Raphael Varane in the summer. Liverpool have also expressed an interest, and so too have PSG. Varane has been a long-serving player at Real Madrid. He's been with them around 10 years. He's made over 300 appearances. He's won 18 major honours, including 4 Champions Leagues. Don't forget he's also won the World Cup. Real Madrid did pay around €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011. But he's a very, very good centre-half, and I would definitely take him at Manchester United. He would go very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. Varane, he's highly experienced. He's 27 years of age. Obviously hasn't played though in the Premier League as yet. It would be good to see him come to the Premier League to see if he would exceed expectations. I think he would though. A centre-back is a priority for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Jadon Sancho. We are preparing to put a £50 million bid in for him in the summer. He actually said we can get Jadon Sancho for as little as £75 million, but it actually said we are no longer the favourites. Sports Build said not so long ago that we're still very interested in signing Sancho. The Athletic said different. They said we paused our transfer pursuit of Jadon Sancho due to Mason Greenwood's progress. We recently received a Jadon Sancho transfer boost because Borussia Dortmund's CEO made an admission saying that Sancho, Haaland and more Dortmund stars could be sold to avoid financial chaos. Bild said earlier on this season that Dortmund reduced their asking price for Sancho to £88 million, so they're not £20 million off, because last summer Borussia Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. We was obviously not willing to meet that valuation. But last summer he was our number one priority target, and it said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed, but we couldn't come to an agreement on an actual fee. And Fabrizio Romano, who is a very reliable Italian journalist and close to Man United, he's spoken a lot about the Jadon Sancho transfer saga, and so too has Bild's Christian Falk. Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. Earlier on this season, Sancho made an admission saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season at Dortmund. Analysing the vast majority of his career, he's been very consistent. This is Sancho's 4th season at Dortmund. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2023. And don't forget, we was willing to offer him that number 7 shirt last summer. He recently broke a Bundesliga record, Sancho, because he got his 50th assist for Dortmund. And as you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. I don't see Haaland coming to Manchester United though. There's actually been a lot of clubs in for him. Would be good to see Ole reunite with him though. Ole knows the player well because Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And Solskjaer said prior to the game against Sociedad that he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went up to Norway to meet up with Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. If Haaland is to be sold in the summer, Dortmund will demand in the excess of £100 million. He does have a £68 million release clause, but doesn't become active until next year. His agent Mino Raiola revealed not so long ago that there's only 4 Premier League clubs that can afford Haaland. But Solskjaer said earlier on this season that he's following Erling Haaland's progress. So yeah, you know the news anyway, don't you, on Paul Pogba? Paul Pogba is willing to discuss a new contract. He's open to staying at Manchester United after making a transfer U-turn. Solskjaer suggested earlier on this season that Paul Pogba could sign a new contract, and Solskjaer said that Paul Pogba is happy at Manchester United. He says we have a good dialogue. Mino Raiola said that he's got no intentions of destabilising Paul Pogba's season at Man United. And he said he doesn't want to cause problems for Paul Pogba. Mino Raiola made an admission earlier on this season saying that he's working on Paul Pogba's transfer quietly to avoid offence. You know, Mino Raiola's been criticised a few times and he doesn't have a good relationship with the club. He made an announcement back in December regarding Pogba. He said Paul Pogba's career at Man United is over. He said he's unhappy and he has to leave and he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and his former club Juventus have been in for him. Pogba endured 4 very good years with Juventus before he rejoined Manchester United. And it said the other week, we revealed our asking price, and it was £100 million. We won't get 100 million if we sold Pogba in the summer. We'd probably get from between 60 to 70 million. there's probably quite a few Man United fans that would like Paul Pogba to stay. Analysing the vast majority of his career since he rejoined, he's been inconsistent, but he's had some good periods. You know, in recent months, we've been getting the best out of Paul Pogba, and he'd been enjoying the best period in his Man United career since he rejoined. Obviously, at the moment, he has got a thigh injury. Solskjaer said prior to the Chelsea game he's going to be out for a few more weeks. But he is a big miss because we are lacking quality in that midfield without Pogba. Earlier on this season, he had an ankle injury. He was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him. And obviously he's not going to be involved in the Crystal Palace game tomorrow night. I don't think Solskjaer's actually give an exact date when Pogba's going to be back, but we know that he hasn't been training. But like I've said, this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. We've got to make signings in the summer, and I am expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. Solskjaer recently gave us an update on our transfer plans, and he said he's only interested in bringing in players that will be a perfect fit for the club. I think our transfer budget has been revealed, and it's actually not what a lot of Man United fans expected. Solskjaer needs to be backed in the summer transfer window. He really does. Because he's not been backed enough so far as Man United manager, and he deserves more backing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has endured 4 transfer windows so far as permanent Man United manager, and he's spent over £200 million. He has made good signings, but he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in as yet. But Solskjaer did confirm that he's got the backing of the owners to get the players he wants to recommend in. Woodward has come out quite a few times to show his support for Ole. Even when we was enjoying them really bad periods under Ole, a lot of the time Woodward came out and assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. Like I've said, our board have got a soft stance on Ole with him being a club legend, and Woodward said towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. It was a disappointing January transfer window for us. We only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore, but Ole said a few times during the January transfer window that he wasn't expecting any signings. We was focusing a lot more on the outgoings in January rather than the incomings. We saw a few players leaving the January transfer window. We saw Jesse Lingard go out on loan to West Ham. We saw Facundo Palestra go out on loan. Odin Ighalo said his farewells to the club. Tiedemann Mengi went out on loan. Marcus Rojo left the club, and Timothy Fosu-Mensah also left the club. And I think more players are going to leave Manchester United in the summer transfer window. Like I've said, there's a good chance that Juan Mata just need to get gripping phone. There's a good chance, Juan Mata will leave in the summer. Juan Mata's current contract. Wait there a second, check my battery. Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer. There is an option to trigger his contract for a further year. But Solskjaer said prior to the game against Sociedad that he's not surprised that Juan Mata is linked to a move away from the club. I heard that there's 3 Italian clubs that are interested in him. Juan Mata doesn't get in our team now. He's out for a couple of weeks anyway with injury. Earlier on this season, Mata rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. But he's had a good career at Man United. He's been at the club over 6 years now. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to offload Anthony Martial in the summer. Martial doesn't have a long-term future at Man United. Who will be our long-term number 9 though? Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. Obviously, he's had chances, but he just hasn't converted them. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did actually say that he's impressed with Martial's work rate and he's backed him to rediscover his form. Martial was good last season and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at the club now over 5 years. I think it was last season Ole gave Martial that number 9 shirt. But if we sell Martial in the summer, we'll get around £30 million. I'm expecting Phil Jones to leave this year. I'm surprised he didn't leave in January, but Solskjaer said that Phil Jones is going to be given a second chance. Jones has been out of injury for over a year now. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Man United. So he's been a long servant. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Sergio Romero, I'm expecting us to offload him. There's been a lot of United fans saying that we need to offload Victor Lindelof. Victor Lindelof isn't good enough. He's too much of a liability, and him and Harry Maguire don't complement each other in our back line. I certainly prefer Bay ahead of Lindelof. Bay and Maguire complement each other in our back line, but my element of concern about Bay is too injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. Don't forget, Solskjaer said the other week that he's prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer. I think we should offload David De Gea in the summer. If we sold David De Gea in the summer, we'd get from between 50 to 60 million pounds. De Gea has been a long servant at Manchester United. This is his 10th season at the football club. He's been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. He's made over 500 appearances in all competitions. De Gea's going to remain our number 1 though, for at least this season. You know, Solskjaer's already warned De Gea that his number 1 jersey is under threat. A few years ago, De Gea was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. But in the last couple of years, he's made calamitous mistakes, and reflecting on that, he's become a liability. But De Gea's actually done well in some games this season, to his credit. He did well in the Chelsea game recently, made some very, very good saves. But actually, most of his saves were straightforward saves. And there was narratives coming out the other week saying that Dean Henderson has threatened to quit Man United if he's not assured the number 1 role. We revealed our asking price. It was £40 million. I think Dean Henderson should be our number 1 because I think he's done well in the games he's played in this season. And he's reliable enough now to be our number 1 because he has got that experience behind him. He endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield United, and before the start of this season he signed a 6-year contract with the club. Solskjaer admitted earlier on this season that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. But yeah, we sell players in the summer, we're obviously going to generate money and it will help us with our rebuilding process. There's quite a few players that have improved at Manchester United. You know, Dean Henderson, he's done well in the games he's played in this season. You know, you've got Luke Shaw, that's really, really improved. He's enjoying a good season, he's Luke Shaw. You know, he's getting forward well. He's getting into good positions. He's putting good crosses into the box. And defensively, he's being good. Luke Shaw still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. When Telles came in, I expected him to be our first choice left back. Telles has played nowhere near as much as I expected him to. But at one point, Telles did have COVID. But I prefer Shaw to Telles because Shaw gets forward better. Shaw's had a good career at Man United, apart from the injuries he's had. Shaw has been at the club now over 6 years. I've been very, very impressed with Eric Bailly in the games he's played in. Bailly's been at the club now a few years. We got him for £30 million from Villarreal back in 2016. It was actually Jose Mourinho's first signing when Mourinho was at the club. Wan-Bissaka, I think he's enjoyed good games this season where he's got forward well in some of the games. He's got into good positions. His crossing's been good in some games. Defensively, Wan-Bissaka has always been superb. This is Wan-Bissaka's second full season at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. You know, Fred, he's really, really improving. He's had bad games as well, but Fred, when he's playing well, he gets forward well. His passing's improving. He breaks up the play well at times. Fred's been at the club now a few years. We got Fred in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. I've got to say, Fred was an exceptional player during his time at Shakhtar Donetsk. Like I said, Paul Pogba's done well in recent months. We've been getting the best out of him. He is a big miss. It'll be good when he comes back. Scott McTominay, I think he's a decent player and he's enjoyed good games this season. Certainly his best game this season was the 6-2 win against Leeds. Because he scored twice in that game and he got an assist. But he did well in the FA Cup third round against Watford, scored in the 5th minute of that one. And he did well in the 9-0 win against Southampton. McTominay's got a lot of development in him. You know, just after the first lockdown, he signed a 5-year contract with Man United. So he committed his future with the club. Donny van der Beek, he's also a good player when he plays. Donny van der Beek has played nowhere near as much as I expected. Most of his appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Van der Beek's just recently come back from injury. But Solskjaer needs to play him more. Because he is a really good player. You know, we got Van der Beek in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons. And Van der Beek can play in like 3 different roles. You know, Bruno Fernandes, he's a very good player. He's our best player. And you can probably say he's the best signing we've made since Ferguson. You know, Fernandes has made the difference in the team. People have said without Fernandes, we'd be lower, or a lot lower, should I say, than we actually are. In most of Bruno Fernandes' games at Man United, he has been very, very consistent. But there's actually been a few games as well where he has looked off the pace. He weren't good against Chelsea recently, got dispossessed a few times, and his final ball was poor. Fernandes predominantly plays as a number 10. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. Bruno Fernandes did say on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Man United. Bruno Fernandes wants to help the club win trophies. That's what he said he came to Manchester for. Earlier on this season, there was narratives coming out saying that we are 3 months into contract talks with Bruno Fernandes. Mason Greenwood, I've also been very, very impressed with him. He's done well since he broke into our first team squad. He made his debut back in 2019. Greenwood's been a United player since the age of 7 and he's made 80-odd first team appearances for us now. Not so long ago he signed a new 4-year contract with the club, Mason Greenwood. He's done well recently despite scoring. Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. At the start of this season, we give Mason Greenwood that number 11 shirt. Rashford, I've been impressed with him, but Rashford's endured his bad periods. I just think we need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide on the left because that's where he's more effective. But sometimes we put Rashford on the right and sometimes we play him centrally. And Edinson Cavani, he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Solskjaer, by the way, said Cavani could be involved in the game tomorrow against Crystal Palace. Because he said that Cavani has been training. So that's good news because Cavani has missed our last 4 games. He's been out with a muscle injury. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that Edinson Cavani is set for contract extension talks. And Cavani's already said he wants to stay at Man United for next season. So we have got some good players and, we've got players that have improved. And our current squad is good enough to finish at least in the top 4, but it's not good enough to win the Premier League at the moment. This is why I said we need more signings. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's not the long-term manager for Man United. I can almost assure that, but I think he does deserve at least until May. I think he'll probably be given another season at the football club. Whether he sees the whole of next season out or not, I do not know. But if we actually did decide to sack Solskjaer at some point next season or at the end of this season, who would come in to replace him? There's no one available at the moment. My biggest concern about Solskjaer, like I've said on my recent videos, is his decision making. He's tactically naive, especially in the big games. We've really struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. In the vast majority of the games, we've failed to score, and that's unlike Man United. And you've got to beat the big 6 sides if you are to be genuine title contenders. We did beat some of the top sides, though, last season, so I don't know what's happened. Solskjaer's got to exceed his expectations if he wants to remain Man United manager, and he's got to win a trophy at Man United to avoid the sack. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since 2017 and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Top 4 is our aim in the Premier League because we know we're not going to win the Premier League title. I can almost assure that we will finish in the top 4. It'd be a disaster if we finished out of the top 4. Solskjaer will probably sign a new contract at the end of the season. But he recently said that Solskjaer's future is in doubt because he admitted that nobody spoke to him over a new contract. But he said we'll wait until the end of the season to begin contract talks with Ollie, and it said we could offer him a new 2-year deal. Ollie's into the final 18 months of his current contract, but he has been Man United manager now over 2 years. Solskjaer knew when he taken the job at Man United, it was going to be a big job, despite him knowing the culture of the club. He knew he had to come in and bring the consistency back. He knew he had to come in and get the right players in, and he's made some good signings, but ain't got all the players that he wanted in. He knew he had to come in and get rid of a lot of the deadwood, which he has done to his credit. You know, he's Solskjaer in a position that he shouldn't be in. Is the club too big for Ole to manage? Because Solskjaer hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. There's a lot of United fans that don't think we're going to win the Premier League under Ole. You know, we haven't won the Premier League since 2013. But we've had some good periods under Ole where we've looked consistent, so he deserves credit for that. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Back with more videos tomorrow.